Okay, welcome students. So we're going to be going over some ideas about triangles. And most of you know this stuff because I think you've had it in elementary school at least one time in junior high. There's two ways you can identify triangles, and one is by side and the other one's by angle. We're going to look at it by side first. An equilateral triangle, if you look here, has three congruent sides. That's what those tick marks mean right there. And if a triangle has three congruent sides, it's called an equilateral triangle. And because it has three equal sides, all these angles that we see right here have to be equal. So if a triangle has 180 degrees with all the angles added together, an equilateral triangle also has three equal angles. And that is true with any triangle. If I have a triangle that has two sides equal, that means that the angles right here and the angles right here opposite the equal sides are also the same measure. So equilateral triangle, 3 divided into 180 makes each one of these angles 60. And then if I have an isosceles triangle with two equal sides, let's say if these were 50 and 50, that'd be 100, then this last angle up here would have to be 80. Now a scaling triangle is a little bit different. There's no equal sides, so that means it has no equal angles, because the only way a triangle can have equal angles is to have equal sides. Okay, so that's looking at triangles by side. Now let's take a look at them by angle. An acute triangle has three angles less than 90. That means I could have an 85. I could have this one at a 45. And this one would be at 50. So all three of those angles would add up to 180. A right triangle has one angle there that would be 90, and the other triangles can be what, or the other angles can be whatever it needs to be. And an obtuse triangle has that big open angle right there. It has to be bigger than 90. So like 110, and these other two angles can be anything that they need to be. Okay, so those are categorizing triangles by side and by angle. Another way to categorize triangles as far as how they're named, let me close this down and go to the next one, is by their angle and by their sides. And let's go in and zoom and look at one of these each at a time. So an acute triangle, we categorize it by the angle first and then by the side. So it all has three angles that are less than 90, so it would be an acute, and because all the angles are different, it has to be scaling. We can have an acute isosceles, so all the angles have to be less than 80. To be isosceles is at least two of the sides or two of the angles have to have the same measurement, which would force the two sides to be equal. Now we have an obtuse isosceles, so we have to have at least one angle that's above 90, and then two angles have to be identical. Then we can have an obtuse scalene. Remember, the angle comes first, the sides come second. So an angle that's above 90, and then the other two can be anything they want as long as they're not equal. The other would be the right scalene and the right isosceles, and for the same reason, correct? And then the last one we know is an equilateral triangle. We've already talked about that we have three equal sides, so all the angles have to be the same measurement as well. Okay, let's leave that for a second. So in this next section, we're supposed to find the values for each missing angle. We have a missing angle here. Verify that the angles for each triangle add up to 180 degrees. Okay, let me zoom in here. Now if you notice here, I'm missing that angle and I'm missing that angle. Now these two are vertical angles, so when I find this angle here, I also find this one. So the first thing we're going to do is add these two angles together. I have 37 plus 47. That looks like it'd be 84. Now I know that a triangle has 180 degrees, so if I take 180 degrees, I subtract 84 from it, I'll get 96. So this angle right here is 96 degrees. And this angle here is 96 degrees. So I know that if I take 96 plus these two, it'll give me the 180 back. So for the same reason I was able to find this 96, now I can find this missing angle here. Let's take 96, add 22. That will give me 118. 118, 180 minus 118, that will give me, looks like 62. 62. So that's the degrees right there. Now I'm going to check this to make sure that it's right. I'll take 96 plus 22 plus 62, and let's make sure that that equals 180 degrees. Okay, so 96 plus 22 plus 62, that's 180 degrees, so it does check out. Now in this second type problem, we have two triangles and they kind of share a common side. Anyway, this bottom line here forms the bottom side of each one of these triangles. So this is just a little bit different. And one thing I want to call your attention to is this area of interest right here. This area right here makes a 180 degree angle, right? A straight angle. That means if I can find this angle here, and I can find this angle here, then I should be able to find this one over here. Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll start with adding these two angles. So 70 plus 50, that equals 120 degrees. I know a triangle has 180 degrees in it, so I take 180, subtract 120, I get 60 degrees right here. Now for the same reason, I can add these two angles and then subtract it from 180, and it's going to find me this third angle over here. So we'll take 180, let's see, 86 plus 60. 86 plus 60, that's 146. So 80 minus 146 will give me 34 degrees. So this angle right here is 34. Now I want to find the third angle here. I'll take 34 plus 106 is 140. So 34 plus 106 equals 140. I'll take 180, subtract 140 from it, and that final angle here, I'll get 40. So just for the fun of it, let's take a look at these angles and see what type of triangle we have. We have three acute angles and they're all different. So because they're different angles, it means we're going to have different sides. So this is an acute, scalene, and then this one, it's an obtuse, and they have all different angles. So this is an obtuse scalene. So this is kind of the ideas that we need to put together to do some of the problems on the last page of the worksheets that you have today. And thank you for watching.